And joining Scott Campsall from Okami Kai and myself today is Natalie Dnes, who is a registered physiotherapist at Uxbridge Physiotherapy. And we're going to talk about a big word that I saw today, and I thought, I've got to find out more about this. How are you, Natalie?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, I've found, and Scott and I have talked about this, that doing Wellness Wednesday, you often go away going, oh, I never knew that. I had no idea. And it's one of those educational moments. And Jody Bouchier, who owns Uxbridge Physiotherapy, had mentioned about this. It's vestibular. Is that how you say it?
It's vestibular.
Vestibular.
Therapy.
Okay, rehabilitation. Yeah. And I said, A, I can't pronounce that word. I can't say it. And B, what the heck is it? And she goes, okay, well, I have the expert to talk about it. And she directed me to you, Natalie. So let's start off.
It was just me. I thought it was just me that I couldn't pronounce it either.
Oh, yeah. No, well, I had no idea. So what is it? Is it something new that is used as far as rehabilitation these days?
So, vestibular rehab is definitely not new. It's been around for a long, long time, and not just with physios, but all types of healthcare professionals. Vestibular rehabilitation or rehab, it's a specialized physiotherapy program. So it's one-on-one exercise-based rehab that relieves symptoms of vestibular disorders.
Okay.
And so that includes dizziness, unsteadiness, and imbalance. And these disorders are actually quite common, and they affect all people, all ages, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I think I had heard this word before, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it came out of watching what was happening to Sidney Crosby after he had a series of concussions. Mm-hmm. Now, is that something? Yeah. Is that what was used? Because they said, they instead of just keeping the head steady, it was they started working around the neck more.
Yeah, that's a great example to bring up. Sidney Crosby has certainly had a number of very serious concussions, and concussions are just one of the examples of what can cause vestibular disorders.
So it's head kind of around the head?
Exactly, yep. So vestibular disorders, it's an umbrella term that covers a lot of different conditions, and those conditions affect the inner ear and the brain. And that leads to imbalance, dizziness, and vertigo. So the way that I like to break it down is that dizziness is that sensation of lightheadedness, feeling faint or nauseous. And vertigo has a spinning component. So that is like the room is spinning. So you or yourself are just spinning around. And imbalance is unsteadiness. So loss of balance, and that can be by tripping, falling, or having trouble walking. And you can see how, an elite athlete, those types of things, those need to be treated, of course. But it can also be caused by head trauma, inner ear infections, disease, aging, and even certain medications can cause those types of things.
I know at times I've actually been affected by it, and it was tied into allergies where you get backed up and your sinuses and everything, and you try to get out of bed in the morning, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, my feet aren't quite as steady. Now, is that extrapolating a little too far and saying that could be something like that?
No, certainly not. I mean, allergies, that affects the eyes, the ears, and everything. And if your systems are off, then the balance and dizziness can definitely come up.
So could you treat that? Obviously I'm going to take my allergy meds, but that could be a component?
Well, if the medication is the cause, then that's a bit of a different situation. But certainly there are treatments for that type of thing, and it's all about retraining your system to be able to handle those types of imbalances. Right.
So it's almost like getting your sea legs.
Yes, it is actually. It is very much like that.
Kind of actually like you're talking about. Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to ask the same question Dan is, but what kind of like exercises and training would you do to rehabilitate somebody who had these kind of issues?
Yeah, that's a great question. So vestibular rehab uses specific head, body, and eye exercises. So the principle is that you want to retrain the brain to process signals from three places: your inner ear, your body, and your eyes. So those three things, the inner ear, the body, and the eyes, make up your vestibular system. So if one of those is off, If your body's off, your eyes are off, your inner ear is off, you're going to have those symptoms. So I can give an example of what that might look like. So if you were to come in with complaints of vertigo or the room is spinning, then I may have you do a treatment called the Epley maneuver. And that involves head and body movements that resolves problems with having debris in your inner ear. So along with that, there's home exercises that are given to increase your energy and reduce your stress level that can be associated with these types of conditions.
So your stress could actually have to do with all of these conditions too.
Yeah. It can really increase the severity of the symptoms and impact your ability to recover.
I guess that would go back to blood flow, right? Because stress is attached to some issues with blood flow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a whole body type of rehab. It looks at the whole person, the stress, the body, and then those internal systems as well.
Now, do you need special training for this? Anything more than having been just a physiotherapist?
Yeah. So the vestibular physio is required to take some advanced physiotherapy courses, and there's lots of courses to take, but all of them are similar in that they have theory and practical components for vestibular condition treatment. Because there is so much out there with rehab and all of that, having that sort of specialized training is really important.
Well, and you mentioned it earlier, you're looking at the big picture, I guess it's sort of like sciatica. Yeah, the pain's there, but it's not necessarily caused there. It's somewhere else, and everything is connected.
Yes, that you really hit it. That's a great way to look at it. That, you can have symptoms and you might think it's one thing, but then in reality, it could be a culmination of 4 different other things that you need to focus on. And just like we were saying, stress, blood flow, and then the imbalances as well, all need to be considered to actually have success with this type of rehab.
Well, I'm wondering, we've got Scott on the line, and he works with athletes, obviously. Someone coming from that basis, that athlete, and especially when you're talking about karate and martial arts, you need that balance and everything. Is it easier for someone like that to be able to reconnect themselves and get through something like this, or does it matter?
So that's a good question. So I think that with vestibular rehab, as long as the treatment is specific for whatever the problem that you have is, the cause of the problem, I think that anyone can have success. And I don't think that anything would predispose you to having more success than another person, because these problems are so internal and can often be a system that is off. Just training that can definitely be really effective. Of course, with athletes, they've got usually the strength component and the motor planning component there. So that might be helpful, but certainly all types of people can have success with this type of rehab.
In the past, we've had students that we teach how to do break falls, like fall down from being thrown, or we even teach front rolls and stuff like that. So I've had students that have had vertigo or they've had dizziness issues before, and so we just sort of give them a bye from doing any of those kind of activities because it just it makes them feel nauseous or dizzy. Or so is that something that can make it worse, or is it something where they should just go to you for treatment and maybe they'll be able to go and do those kind of activities again? Or is it, do you find that it's sort of more of a coping mechanism to go for that treatment so that they can just run an everyday life?
Well, you know what? That's a really interesting question. So with the way you're kind of describing it, sounds like that's pretty intense. That's level maybe 10 of what the vestibular system could handle on, a really good day. So to me, it sounds like maybe we take a step back and we start with the baby steps. So slowly starting to get the brain and the inner ear and the eyes used to that type of movement. And you kind of add on the intensity and see if those systems can't get used to those types of signals to reduce the symptoms of that spinning, the vertigo, the nausea. So kind of taking it as a stepping stone to those bigger types of movements would be what I would approach for those types of students.
So you could get back, though, possibly. It's not something I'm never going to be able to do this again.
Oh, yeah, I never say never. I mean, definitely some people's systems are more sensitive than others. But I think that with this type of rehab and this type of training in general to do those types of movements, it's all about slow and steady increases in how intense things are and seeing if we can handle the amount of intensity down the line. So I think it's definitely something to try.
This is so neat. Like I know last month we were talking about pelvic rehabilitation, and now we're talking about this. And like what I do, there's so many times where I have people that come in and they just say, "Well, I have this," and they just sort of cope with it, and it, like you don't necessarily think that what you actually could get treated for this. So this is a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, you know what? That's huge. Is that people can live for years and years and years with these types of conditions, just trying out some medications. A lot of times medication doesn't work, and it's something people live with. But then I see them and we have progress, and it's really amazing to be able to help with that type of recovery.
I don't know if you can ballpark it, but on average, how long would you say the rehab programs go for people?
Yeah, that is a tough question. For most, I say that there should be improvement in 6 weeks. Now, I don't mean total improvement, but certainly there should be some sort of tolerance buildup or some sort of improvement in your symptoms in 6 weeks. And if not, then I'm in touch with some other people to see what's going on. But I would say 6 weeks is a pretty good ballpark.
Yeah, because we are the generation of, can I just take a pill and make me better tomorrow?
Unfortunately, with vestibular conditions, that actually is sometimes not the case.
No. Come on, Natalie. What do you mean I've got to work at this?
Or some people just cope with it. Like I said, I've got students that have come in and just said, no, this is just the way it is, and I can't do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's huge. And it can be really limiting for people, especially when it gets to the point where it affects your daily living. So that's something that I always want to avoid and get before. But it's really important, I think, to spread the word. And that's why I'm happy to be talking about it today, because I'm very passionate about this type of rehab. Well,
now that I think I can say it, vestibular rehabilitation.
Yeah, you got it.
How could someone get a hold of you?
Yes, of course. So I work at Uxbridge Physiotherapy, like you mentioned. So you can give the clinic a call. The number is 905-862-3870, or send us an email at admin@uxbridgephysiotherapy.com, and you can ask for Natalie. That's me, and we can start working together.
Natalie Dnes joining us here today, and as she mentioned, she's a registered physiotherapist at Uxbridge Physiotherapy. Before we go, though, Scott, do you want to take a shot at it? Vestibular?
Vestibular.
There you go.
You got it.
There you go. I knew we could all do it before we finish the. We have that was our therapy for today. How was that? Guys, thank you very much.
Dizzy after saying it, though.
Yeah, I think I twisted my tongue. I think I heard something. Listen, thanks for your time today.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. So happy to be here.